Welcome to the Imperfectly Empowered podcast with leading DIY lifestyle blogger ahnafulmer, where women are inspired with authentic stories and practical strategies to reclaim their hearts and homes by empowering transformation, one imperfect day at a time.
Kera Jeffers from House Love. She is a DIY pro and an organizational expert. And would you say your style is, I was thinking about your style, would you say like eclectic bohemian? How would you describe your design style?
Currently, it's leaning more toward that way. Yes, like modern, boho, eclectic. There's a lot of mix of a lot of things, but mostly it's just things that I love. So that's
if anybody's watching this and you are not following Kera, you need to go check her out on Instagram at House Love or on her blog, ahnafulmer.com. And she is a designer. And if you love that eclectic boho, lots of colors, mom of four, super organization, which is right up my alley, then you definitely need to check her out and give her a follow. But she is also a Faster Way client of mine. And we are hopping on here because I've mentioned before, the best people to hear about a program are always the clients themselves. All right. We switched rooms here. We're getting a full view of Kera's house. Yeah.
Woohoo!
It's so cute. Look at
all
your
over my
cute office. I love it.
I'll move that sweatshirt that's just like sitting back there. Randomly.
You can tell she's a DIY decor blogger. She's like, what do I need to get out of the shot here? We were just joking that we're zooming in because if you guys saw the rest of my room right now, it would be very distracting. It's a disaster.
Like I've got cabinets on the floor behind me right there. So I'm just going to sit
real
in front
life
of them real quick.
Exactly. / I'm in pajamas from the bottom down. Well, let's be honest. I'm in pajamas. Oh my gosh. So anyway, we're talking about accountability. The idea that, you know, so many people, like, they know what they need to do, even when you've had the education, the training, even for people who haven't, you know, the idea of, you know, having an organized program, a structure that kind of gets you kickstarted. Was there anything when you started the program? So it's initially a 6-week program. Was there anything that surprised you, like pleasantly surprised you, that you maybe weren't expecting going into the program?
Yeah. So when I first began the program, I was not like mentally on board with the whole intermittent fasting thing. And and I know you're laughing because we talked about this and I was like, why do I have to do this? Why can't I have a glass of wine after my kids go to bed? Like, you know, and I just remember you saying that it's not about that you can't have it. It's just about doing it more times than you're not doing it and just trying to get your body used to this kind of structure. And once I kind of shifted my mind change, it surprised me at how easy it actually was. So, I mean, I wasn't a huge breakfast eater to begin with. So it was easy for me to not really have my first meal of the day until like 10:30 or 11 o'clock because I wasn't too off from that anyway. The morning coffee was a little bit of a shift. You know, I learned to put less creamer in my coffee and it was, I mean, I still do it. I'm like, you know, tiny, you know, but just not as much. And every once in a while I still have that glass of wine or whatever after my window closes. But for the most part, I mean, I stick to that 8, sometimes 9-hour window, depending on the day, but I allow myself flexibility and really it took about, I want to say 2 weeks and I felt comfortable doing that. And I was really surprised because I just never tried to do that before.
Yeah. And for those people watching who are not familiar with intermittent fasting, it's not a diet. Intermittent fasting is a schedule of when to eat. So in the Faster Way, and, you know, as a nurse practitioner, I can definitely say the 16-8 method where we fast for 16 hours, eat for 8, definitely is the best research behind it. In the program, I go into more of the physiological benefits of it because it's kind of a fad term right now. And I'm all about people understanding the why behind the what. I think it empowers you with more not just knowledge, but also motivation, which then should convert to discipline. And the idea with intermittent fasting is that you want to get all your nutrition in an 8-hour window. That being said, it's hard for a lot of people to jump right into 8 hours. And what I admired about you is you were willing to flex, because what we struggle with, I think a lot of times as women, is we're all or nothing. It's like, we feel like, okay, if we can't do something to a T and do it perfectly, well, then well, I just failed. I might as well not do it at all. And the problem is then it's like you never even allow yourself to see progress because it's like everything or nothing. And so I loved because you did a really good job at that. I think initially I recall you had actually extended your window in the evening because you were realizing you could not get all your nutrition in because you're a night owl. And
Yeah.
so if I'm remembering, I think we actually extended your window to 10 hours. And a little bit later in the evening. And, I respected your ability to flex. And then you were pretty consistent with that. And it sounds like you may have been able to whittle it down a little bit to 9 and then 8. But that's such an important thing to communicate here for anybody listening or watching is it is all about progress. It's not about perfection.
Yeah.
And it's about learning, taking it one day at a time, picking yourself back up and learning from what you maybe didn't do as well the one day and try to improve the next day. But anyway, I remember that. And I admired your ability to, instead of just totally giving up on it, being like, well, no, I will do that. I'll extend it in the evening. And you did a great job.
Thank you. And if I'm going to be honest with that, like, I think that's something that I have learned how to do better because of DIY. Because I used to be such a perfectionist and all or nothing. And if things went wrong, I was scrambling and doing everything possible to fix it instead of trying to be flexible.
Yeah.
And so as I've learned how to DIY these last couple of years, I've tried to implement some of those strategies into other areas of my life and to be more flexible. Cause I mean, by personality, I'm like very controlling. So I like to, have my parameters and be able to control it. And so, like I said, learning to be flexible is it's a huge just thing for a lot of different areas of my life. So
yeah, I love that. It's a great correlation. I mean, that's basically my whole brand is the idea of, empowering transformation one imperfect day at a time. And that absolutely goes with the DIY world for sure. And sometimes those mistakes, they end up with your best work because you're like, oh, wait a second, this looks amazing.
They do.
I can try this.
Sometimes those pivots in the middle of whatever, like, make the project so much better. I mean, and no matter what the project is, whether it's your body or whether it's exactly. Yeah.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Okay. So on the flip side, so we talked about the positive. What was the most difficult aspect for you of the program?
Okay. So, and this is all just totally me. Since we moved into this house 3 years ago, we have a home gym in our basement, and I cannot believe how much harder it is for me to walk to the basement than it is for me to get in the car and go to the gym. You know what I mean? Because I think when you get to the gym, it's like you're meeting people there, and it's almost like you've told people you're going and people are expecting you. And so you just get up and you go. And sometimes in the morning, it was just easier to drop the kids off at daycare instead of going to the basement. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to answer a few emails first. And then I'm like, and then I'm 2 hours in and I'm like, shoot,
crap. Well, 8 hours later.
Yeah. So I think and I think I told you a couple times too, like, will you just text me and be like, get your workout in today, please? So, and my husband does a good job of that now. Because I told him that's something that I struggle with. I definitely struggled with it in the summer because when my kids are home, I have a harder time getting down there.
Yes.
But now that they're back in school, they started school this week and everyone's gone. And so we get everyone dropped off and we come back and I immediately go downstairs and I've gotten like, what's today? Thursday. I've gotten 3 of my workouts in today. I usually do 4 times a week. So I've gotten 3 of my workouts in this week already, which is way more consistent than I was this summer. Let's just say that.
Amen. When is school starting?
I know.
Still like another week and a half for me. Oh my
God. Oh man. Yeah, we were ready. We were ready.
Oh, I'm ready. Let's go. It's time for school. And it's funny because I think I hear feedback from different people, and I think this is true for all of us, that we all struggle with different elements. Some people are really dialed in on nutrition when they come into my program. Like they really are already in many ways practicing what, we're teaching in the program, but they really struggle with the fitness part of it. And there's people on the flip side, actually more commonly, people are good at working out. They they're really bad about dialing in on nutrition. And a lot of that is people just don't know. They just don't realize or understand, especially carbs, I think being the big one. What are the right carbs and when and why? Why are we actually eating them? And protein's another big one. People are not eating enough protein. So anyway, the point being, everyone comes in with different struggles. And I think that's what I love seeing clients in the program is it doesn't mean you come out an expert or that you've got it all nailed down, but there's progress. You see progress in some way, shape, or form, and that translates into results. And I mean, you looked amazing, your before and after photos. And this is something that I constantly tell people is if somebody who already doesn't have a lot of body fat percentage to lose is seeing results, these strategies work if you're able to dial in and do the best that you can. If you've got more body fat, to lose, to ultimately prevent disease and live well, then these strategies will work for you. And that's, I love when clients like you see those kinds of before and afters because it's encouraging. It should be inspiring to people. I think you lost several inches.
I did. And it was super encouraging to me because this is what I've noticed. So, and I don't know if I told you this part actually, but, so after having my fourth child, I really struggled to lose it was the first time I had ever really struggled to lose all the baby weight. My fourth one is the one I had gestational diabetes with. And super randomly, people look at me and they're like, what, you have gestational diabetes, and then you have to explain to people, it's just it's, your pancreas just hates your body. And it's it has nothing to do with anything with your hormones,
Right.
But I noticed that even after I had him, the way that my body reacted to sugar was so completely different than it ever had before. And the only reason I knew that is because I've just always been very in tune with what's going on with my body. But it's always been it's like what everyone describes as the mom pooch. You know what I mean? And I had never had that before, but all of a sudden, after I had him and as I'm getting closer to 40, I just noticed more of the bloating and I just couldn't figure out what was triggering it. And so for me, it was almost that reset of getting back to tracking my nutrition and making sure that I'm doing the workouts was kind of just what my body needed to reset. And so that's what I attribute those inches to, is to just kind of giving myself a hard reset.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So, I mean, I loved your before and after picture. So we are both busy moms. And we all know that this is one of the hardest phases of life, I think, to see any kind of consistency, because it's your kids need this, your kids need that, a spouse needs this or that. And so I think especially as busy working moms, even if you're at home or not at home, you're working because you're a mom. A sustainable lifestyle of wellness is really difficult. Why would you recommend the faster way to fat loss to busy moms? Or to busy young women, wherever stage of life that they might be?
Two things come to mind. And I'll talk on the food side and I'll talk on the workout side. As far as the workout side goes, I have never been in a workout program where I can literally get in and get out in 30 minutes and feel like I've had an adequate workout. I am sore the next day after many of these workouts. And it's great. I feel like I've gotten enough in, where in the past I would do programs and I feel like I'd have to do that full hour. And sometimes I just don't have that full hour. I need to just be able to do it quick. So for the time and how much you get in a quick period of time and how it makes me feel is a huge benefit. And then on the food side, for me, it was more about prepping things at the beginning of the week. I would make a big batch, I just did on Monday. I made a big batch of the crustless. I've seen several of the frittata recipes or quiche or whatever. Those kind of recipes. I just make a big one, and that's my breakfast all week long. So I'll make that on Monday, and then I have it to eat on all week. And so I think it's just kind of getting back to those basic fundamentals of the quick and fast workouts and the food prep. And I mean, those things are just, I mean, it doesn't take a long time. Like in an hour on Monday, I have my workout done and I have, breakfast prep for the entire week.
Yeah. Yeah.
The hardest parts for me are there and ready for me.
Right.
And all I got to do is walk down and turn on the microwave.
Right. And then get the way down to your basement.
Yes.
Eventually.
Yes. Yep.
For anybody wondering, the exercises are several days of strength training that are all doable from home. And then several days of cardio, also all doable from home, all included on the app. And then in terms of nutrition, a lot of people don't understand tracking macronutrients. And that's one of the greatest hurdles for most people in the program. But the idea is that we're not a calorie counting program, which really anybody watching this should be like, hallelujah and amen, because if you spend any time with me, you're going to hear very quickly that counting calories is really it's an incomplete way of approaching nutrition. And so tracking macros, what's great about it is it's very flexible and adaptable to what you like to eat. You learn how to eat the right macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbs, with foods that you like within the right parameters. So kind of what Kera is talking about for breakfast, and that is when you break your fast. The idea is you're trying to get the right amount of macronutrients that we custom create for you and the plan that you specifically need based on your goals. So I love that Kera was able to share with us. I love your adorable office. And if anybody is watching this, it's probably a lot cleaner than mine is right now. And probably cuter too. If anybody is watching this, my next round starts on August 23rd. So that is this Monday. And there is a link in Kera's Instagram bio. If you are resonating with her story, I would love to have you sign up for my program through her link. She does make a commission. Anybody who is a client of mine is able to get their own affiliate link and refer friends and family to my program. We're so grateful for the business and the opportunity to work with any of your friends and family. But now through August 23rd, that's this Monday. If you want to sign up, I would love to have you. Click on the link in her bio. You get instant access to the app. You'll get my new client toolkit. We'll get you into the private Facebook group where all the interaction happens. And listen, I realize that people need to process the information. And for a lot of women, it's not necessarily if, but more a matter of when. And Kera, I don't know how long you'll keep that link up there, but I'd love to have you sign up for this round, but if not, stay tuned, keep following along, follow Kera. You hang out over at Hammers and Hugs, and I would love to have you at some point. And again, if you follow Kera and resonate with her story, I'd love to have you sign up at any time through the link that is in her bio. Is it just in your link tree? Like if they click on the bio?
Yeah, I have a landing page on my blog that's specifically for like Instagram.
Perfect.
That
has the link.
Like, it has like, they can go to my blog post. They can go to, I'm like drawing a blank right now, like Shop My Home, like anywhere that they would need like a quick link for something of mine. It's on there. So I'll put a button right down there and add that.
Perfect. So you just click on the link on her Instagram bio, and then it'll take you to that page where you can visit all the things for Kera.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad to have you on here. Thanks for hopping on after you threw all your children into bed.
Yeah, that's okay.
Just tossed them in there.
It was like, I have one that started kindergarten this week, and I'm like, you are rough. You're having a rough time. He needed to get in bed early tonight.
Get into bed.
Man. God love him. He's exhausted.
Oh, they're so cute. Oh my gosh, I love your back to school pics.
Thank
all right.
you.
Well, thank you so much, Kera. You guys have a good night.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Imperfectly Empowered podcast. It is my honor to be here with you. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss a show, and leave a comment with your thoughts from today's episode below. If you are listening via your preferred podcasting platform, would you help keep us on the air by rating our show and leaving an honest review of your thoughts from today? In case you haven't heard it lately, your story matters and you are loved. This is your host, Ahnafulmer, and I will see you here next time on the Imperfectly Empowered podcast.